This is Gene Monterstello, and welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 527, originally aired March 30th, 2022. Hi everyone, I hope this finds you well wherever you are, whatever time of day you get a chance to listen to this. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Today we are going to talk about what to do when you hit emotional rock bottom and a little tapping isn't making the difference. Before we do that, two quick announcements. First of all, if you have not already, we have a free 10-part guide to help you to eliminate self-sabotage with tapping. All you need to do is go to tappingqna.com, click on that big blue button, and every single day for the next 10 days, we will send you one small bite-sized tool that make it super, super easy for you to be able to implement over the course of the day, to make it easier for you to take action. Then at the end of 10 days, you can pick the tool or two that works the best for you so you can use them over and over again. Again, just go to tappingqna.com, click on the big blue button. If you happen to be listening to this in the website right now, if you go up in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a blue button there as well. Secondly, I would like to thank all of the supporters of the Tapping Q&A podcast. They make it possible for you to receive this amazing training all of the time. The really cool thing is 10% of all of the contributions we get that support the podcast, we then loan them out as part of small business loans through Kiva. At this point, because momentum is growing, after we make a loan, it gets pays back, we loan it out again. Right now, we're getting a chance to support anywhere between 30 and 35 small businesses every single month. We've made over $30,000 in contributions to small business owners all over the world. If you would like to support the podcast, receive some amazing bonuses for doing so, and help us to make a difference to small business owners all over the world, all you need to do is go to tappingqna.com/support. That's tappingqna.com/support. And once again, thank you to all of the amazing supporters of the Tapping Q&A podcast. Today's conversation about what do we do when we hit emotional rock bottom came about because one of my clients recently asked about that because he knew I had gone through a similar circumstance and he was now experiencing it. And so just a little background information. Last year in February, I launched a program that I'd worked really, really hard on. I'd spent close to 500 hours invested in this program to create a set of tapping tools and resources that I thought would make a real difference in the world. And I was excited about it, and it's still one of the coolest things I've ever created. And as I released it to the world was not nearly as excited about this particular product as I was. And because of all of the time and energy and heart that I had invested in it, it hit me really hard. Like I was more than a grumpopotamus. Like I was really having a hard time. And for about a 2-week period, because it had taken so much wind out of my sails as I was trying to navigate running my business, if I was not on a client call sitting at my desk, I was not at my desk. I was on the couch watching crap TV. I was taking long walks around the neighborhood listening to ridiculous podcasts about European football that are not contributing anything to my intellect or well-being or growth. And it sucked. Like it was a really, really hard time. And then after about 2.5 weeks, I realized that I had thrown a mental temper tantrum long enough, and it was time for me to start turning it around. And simply making the decision that I didn't want to be at this emotional rock bottom was not enough for me. I actually had to do a number of things to turn myself around. I started working out again regularly. I reconnected with my spiritual director. I connected with an accountability partner and started doing small things to change my resource state. But doing those small things to change my resource state also didn't turn things around, but gave me enough energy and enough focus for me to do the 4 steps that I'm about to share with you. And these are the 4 steps that I use whenever I have a big crushing something. And it could be a project that I'm working on. It could be something in a relationship. But when I'm really overcome and crushed by something, these are the 4 steps that I go through. Step number 1 is state where you are. one of the presuppositions that I work from in all of my work is that in order for us to have transformation, the first step is for us to state what is. And so the first part of the healing process and getting ourselves out of a funk is just being honest with the fact that we're in a funk. And so for me, it happened in tapping, but I did a whole bunch of tapping on the fact that I was frustrated and disappointed and felt a little bit let down and wondering if I was on the right path, and just stated all of the emotions and clarity about what was going on. Because when I got it all out of my head at once, the problem actually came into focus. Oftentimes we think that I'm going to go through all of the stuff and I'm going to share all of these things and it's going to turn into this fire hose of emotion. I'm going to be overwhelmed by it. And it is true that there is a lot of emotion that comes along with that. And it is true that that is no fun. But it's actually a clarifying exercise because I was able to see exactly what's going on. So number one, state where you are. Number two is tap for the emotion about what is going on. And so for me, in addition to hitting this emotional rock bottom, there were a whole bunch of emotions around that. I felt like I was being a bad tapper and I was being a bad leader of my community and I was being a bad coach because I was letting these things get the best of me. I felt bad because I was defining myself by a professional success and I wasn't defining myself because of who I am. And so there were all of these emotions that I was having in response to hitting rock bottom. So the second thing I did was I tapped on all of the emotions about hitting rock bottom. So it's the state where I am and then the emotions I feel about where I am. Step number 3 is get a small win. Because when we get a small win, we start to create energy. We start to create motion. We start to get over the inertia of being stuck and starting to create momentum moving forward. And sometimes for me, the small win is, okay, I'm just going to write down a bunch of things that I can do to start fixing the circumstance. Or I'm going to write down a bunch of things that I'm going to do next because the thing I tried did not work out the way I wanted it to work out. And it's amazing how clarifying that is when I name the things that I want to do next. And you'll notice that my small win in this circumstance wasn't even necessarily doing something. It was just naming the things I need to do next. So there now was a structure. There now was an order. Other times when I'm struggling with something like this, small wins are really, really silly. You know, it's folding my laundry, making my bed, cleaning my bathroom. Like, those don't feel like big deals. But when you have ground to an emotional halt, doing something productive actually creates a little energy and helps you to move forward. And then step 4 is make a plan tomorrow to start thinking big picture and actually creating the plan for execution. That for me, I found that on that first day, as I was turning myself emotionally around, I didn't actually have all of my resources back to do a whole bunch of work. I didn't have all of my resources back to create a plan. I data dumped all the tasks I needed to do. But I put off till tomorrow or the next day okay, let's figure out what all of the steps are. Let's figure out what needs to happen. Not just small victories, but big victories. What's the infrastructure I need to change? And thinking about it in that way. So that as I ended that day, or had gone through steps 1, 2, and 3, I also had hope for the next day because I at least knew what my next step was. And that was figuring out what my next steps are. And again, it's such a small thing, but it makes such a huge difference for our subconscious mind, for our emotional state, for all of us as we're trying to navigate something like this. So the next time you hit an emotional rock bottom where a round of tapping makes you feel better for a moment, but doesn't help you to move past it, the 4 steps are, again, Number one, state where you are. All transformation starts by stating what is. Tap on that. Number two, what are the emotions you have about the circumstance that you are in? Do you feel disappointed? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel like it's too late? Tap on all of those moments. Tap on all of those emotions. Number three, go find a small win or two. Do something productive that has a beginning and a middle and an end that you can celebrate, that you can put a gold star next to your name on the chore chart where you can go, I did that thing. And then step number four, make a plan for tomorrow where you're going to be doing the big picture planning. If you work through those four steps, you will not magically spring out of the funk that you are in. You will not magically be fully resourced again, ready to take on the world. But you will no longer be stuck. You will start taking action, and action begets action. Success begins success. Just like inertia, things at rest stay in rest, applies for the inertia of things in motion stay in motion. And so we slowly start creating energy and momentum and motion, and success builds on success. And we make mistakes along the way, but boy, does it become so much easier to take action. So those are my 4 steps. Give them a try. Let me know how you find those particular steps. If you have another step or another process, I'd love to hear it. So the next time I hit rock bottom, I have other tools as well. To let me know what you think about all of this, please drop me a note. You can send an email to support@tappingqna.com. That's support@tappingqna.com. Even though it is a support email address, I am the one who manages the support email address because I'm the support team. It just makes it so much easier for me to keep track of information and feedback from wonderful listeners just like you. If you found this information and this conversation useful, and you know someone in your life who might appreciate it, please be our ambassador. Pass it along. Don't spam your inbox and send it to every single person in the world. But by taking a moment or two and passing it along, even if they never listen to the audio that you share with them, the simple fact that you are sharing it with them will brighten their day a little bit because you've thought about them. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the podcast. In podcasting parlance, subscribe is free. There are premium versions of podcasts and podcasts behind paywalls, but that is not the case for this. It is absolutely free. All you need to do is everywhere you listen to audio, just search for Tapping Q&A. You can do that in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, Audible. If there's a place where there is audio online, you can find this. Just search Tapping Q&A, click subscribe, click follow, and most importantly, turn on those notifications so every single time a new episode comes out, you are notified right away. If you have a topic, if you have a guest you'd like us to interview in the future, something you'd like us to cover, please let me know. I'm actually getting ready to do a whole bunch of interviews, so we have those over the summer, as well as some other fun surprises that are in store. The nature of my organization is changing in a really cool way in May. I can't wait to share that with you. It is all good stuff as we get to expand what we are offering. To give me those recommendations, just drop me a note. Again, support@tappingqna.com. For the Tapping Q&A podcast is Gene Montrastelli. I hope you have an awesome, amazing day wherever you are in the world, and I look forward to talking to you real soon. Bye-bye. The Tapping Q&A podcast is copyright Gene Montrastelli Tapping Q&A. All views expressed by guests are those of the guests and not necessarily of Gene Montrastelli and Tapping Q&A.